welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Van Buren in Clearwater County. And in the previous episode, we spent a lot of time on our rail network, but we didn't spend much time on this station. In fact, I just plopped one of the vanilla stations that came with the game, and there were a number of comments that pointed out how inappropriate this feels for this area. It's an open air station in a place that gets very cold, and we have another fire. There it is. Anyway, I agree. This is not the most appropriate station. So I've gone to the Steam Workshop and found an excellent modular station pack, which I will link to below. That said, let's pull it up and we'll take a look. So this is the Malmö Central Station. It is absolutely gorgeous, and we are going to use this today. So let's take a look at the actual station in Sweden. And what you'll notice here is that we've got a number of different buildings that are going to be a part of this pack. First of all, we have the co-op here, which I know later on in this video I'm going to say is across the street. That's actually this building. It looks like it has a similar design aesthetic, but it is not the co-op. I made a mistake. The co-op is right next to the front of the central station, not where the main entry point is, because that's around the corner. So the main entry point and one of the other assets is right here. It connects right up to the front of the building. So I probably am going to use this a little bit differently than the actual building itself. But one concept that I do want to work into the build is that there's a mixed use center kind of along the side. And what you'll see is that there's actually a number of things here. I think there's a 7-Eleven and, some convenience stores, restaurants, and on the top, potentially even some residential. And I think that makes a ton of sense. This would be an area of activity where you'd expect to see a lot of uses. So with that, let's get back to the main video. So let's go ahead and place all of these buildings so we can see how it lines up. Okay, so this is what we get from the pack. So we have right here, it's a co-op store. We have an entrance to the train station. We also have a main hall, the central station office, and this platform. And I think that we might be missing one building. Let me double check. Yes, this warehouse as well. So these are the assets that we have. Now in the real Malmö station, the way that it's set up is kind of like this. We'll pull this back. We're gonna use Alt to rotate this around. So this is generally what the layout is like in Malmo, which is nice, but one of the nice things about having a modular pack like this is that it gives us the freedom and flexibility to do what we want. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna spin this around, and what I think we're gonna do is take this warehouse and I'm gonna spin that around and add that right about here. Let's rotate that one more time. And I wanna add this as another building right within here. And I might need to hop in here and adjust my lat and lawn a couple of times so we can see what's going on. So there you go. You kind of see that adds another layer of depth in here. Let me see which way is more appropriate. Might be this way. Okay, so you can see that this has a strong corner presence that I really appreciate. The one thing I want to look at is where does this make the most sense? Where's it going to line up the best? So first of all, we need to make sure that this entryway has the same height, more or less, with this building. That's good. Let's slide this over a little bit. I want to make sure that we're lining up with a door, but yeah, and I guess that would be the door right there. Okay, so that's pretty good. The one thing is it is dipping down a bit. Let's see if I can get this to line up a little bit nicer. Pretty good. So my main concern is you get some kind of awkward stuff in the center here. Let's see if I can fix that. Control H, pull this up. It's not so bad. So maybe I do just need to keep everything at the same height. Probably how I'll get my best aesthetic. So I'll just highlight all of these and bring it to road level and see how that looks. It's honestly not terrible. You do lose some of the decoration on the warehouse building, but I think that's okay. So in Malmo, this co-op's across the street, but I think we are going to try to work this into our building and make it a feature here. So I'm going to spin this around using Alt, and I want to take a look at what's on the building. And again, we're going to spin this around so we get a better view of the building, and I'll just integrate that right into the side of this. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to integrate this. This might be it. So it now feels like it's part of that building. but we're not gonna stop there. This looks really good. Compared to this station, it just feels really good. Let's come back to our normal presets. There we go, looking a bit brighter. And we're going to remove this station. So I'm gonna pause for the time being as we get rid of this, and I back some of this stuff out. So one of the really nice things about this station is it's only 4 tracks instead of 6, which a number of comments stated was kind of out of control for a community of this size, and I completely agree. It's a little bit overkill and certainly not what I would hope to see, but it was what we had, and now that we have something better, happy to go with it. Really happy to go with it. I'm picking up all the trees here. I don't want to do that, so we're just gonna try that again without trees selected, and we'll pull this right on over here. Now this building has a really strong corner presence, so we are going to pull this as close to the sidewalk as we can. And now we've got some other things that we need to contend with. We've got some roads that are dipping down. We'll just select those, Control H, select the main building, and bring it up to a level pad. Now one of the nice things is that with what we've done here, we've basically pulled this and fit it well within the envelope that we already had. The one concern I have is that we have a whole bunch of surface painter stuff going on. We'll just get rid of that for the time being. So now we've got to connect up our tracks. And for the most part, it seems like they're fairly close to where I'd want them to be. So we are going to fix this and pull this whole building over a little bit, but we're going to start out by just getting everything connected up. Okay, so once again, let's grab everything here. Whoa, that's delete everything here. We don't want to do that. That was not what I was trying to do. Select everything here. And I wonder if I hold Alt if that'll just, look at that. I didn't think that was possible, but that is perfect. Oh yeah, I like that. So, wow, this was a little too easy. Something's got to go wrong. So maybe it'll be here. So I'm going to pop into here, and I notice that there's this customized tracks button. And Bob, what I'm going to do is just come through here, and what I'm looking for is the North American Rail Station. So I don't really understand what I'm looking at. I'm going to try something, and we'll see if that works. Yeah, I don't fully understand what it's asking me to do. So I'm going to do what I know how to do, which sometimes it might not be the most efficient way, but if you know how to do it, just go that route. So I'm going to come through here. I'm going to unlock these. Unlock, 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 unlock. Come out of Unified UI and out of the segment unlock mode. And we're going to search for North American Rail Station. And now I should just be able to come through here and just upgrade these. Except for this one, which apparently is mad at me. So we'll have to unlock that one again. There we go. So we should be in a spot where I could resume this. We're gonna do it and see if it works. And I'm gonna get rid of some of this surface painter nonsense. Wow, that is a really striking station. I really like this. I think this is really nice. All right, so we've got folks coming around here. Lots of stuff going on here. What I'm gonna notice though, is there's some parking occurring here. And I'm curious, if I just go ahead and upgrade this as well, are we gonna see parking along this whole kit and caboodle? And I'm guessing we're going to over time. Now, these are industrial buildings, which I think is pretty interesting. We've got an office, industrial, another industrial. So we've done a couple of things that make this interesting. There's a lot of workers here. So I like that. I think it's fine. For office workers, it's a lot, 231, which these are generally mixed use buildings, which is, I think is something else that we're gonna need to think about in this area. Looking at the actual station in Malmo, you see that after you have that main entryway, there's a number of mixed use buildings going along the side. So let's try to do something very similar. So I'm gonna come through here and search for some buildings. So we'll make this bigger, and I'm going to search for a commercial building. And we'll look for ploppable, and truthfully, I wonder. So let's see what we have in here. And I'm okay with vanilla as well, so I'm just gonna pop through here. What I want are some office buildings that kind of have a decent presence. This is too big, so I want to set the second. It looks like we've got 2 units here that we could play with. So we'll come down, select 2 unit buildings, and what do we have here? Let's just plop a couple and see what we could make work. And truthfully, I kind of like the way that this one looks. I think we could go a little bit bigger though. I'm wondering if I get rid of the vanilla and I just look at some of the old town sorts of buildings that I have. That one actually looks really good next to it. I like that. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. We're gonna add some of these buildings right here, but there is an entryway in here, so we need to make sure that that remains unblocked. We're gonna make this level with this building over here, and check out, there's the entryway. Pull that over, and then over here, we're gonna do something very similar. And truthfully, maybe we need some residential over here. I might just kind of transition off and see what we have for residential. So we'll go with this, and I think I have some nice modern buildings that would look really nice here. I wonder, modern fourplex? All right, so one of the things I don't love about this particular asset is it does have rear-loaded garages, and I do want to see how this looks from the inside, so we won't go with that one. Let's look at these. How does this look? That one has a, this is much better. There's no garage, there's a step off, and I think that that's gonna work really well for us. So I'm gonna add these. And for this one, I think I really wanna pay close attention to what's happening in the rear because we have the opportunity to make these look nice. There we go. So we've integrated that right into the train station. And I'm wondering, I'm gonna try one more. I just wanna see if there's, maybe this isn't the best fit. This one might be a little better. Let's take a look at the rear of this one. I actually like that one even better. So let's go for this one instead. Oh yeah, that is great. These colors line up really well. And then when you come around the rear, you can see that people can exit the back of their homes and get right on the train, which is exactly what I wanted, that sort of appearance. Now in this building, there's a dumpster, which is maybe not the look I was going for. I'm gonna get rid of this one. And I think what we're gonna do is have even more of these. Really, really like that. And for this building right here, when we come back here, what do we see? Just kind of a flat wall. I'm gonna pull these in a little bit so that it looks a little bit nicer inside the station. Yeah, that's better. That is much better. So you can see that I'm creating a presence inside of the station with these growable buildings. Now, I don't think, actually, wait a minute. So these snuck forward on me. So let's pull these forward. Yeah, there we go. So I would assume that these have very thick windows to prevent some of that noise, and a very specific type of person lives here who's okay with this kind of noise. These would be very expensive, most likely, because of the proximity to transit. And, I would imagine that these would be highly sought after. So even though it seems like, oh my goodness, so loud, someone is gonna like that. So there we go. So now over here, what are we gonna do? I've got an idea. So we're gonna go with a parking garage, but I've got a very specific one. So this is Grant Park Village, which is kind of a condo, and there's parking underneath it. I think it's a good fit here. So we're gonna work this into the build. We'll pull this in and again, focus on the way it looks on the inside, while still making sure it functions on the outside. And I think this is pretty good. And I could pull that pretty close up to on the street. And still, what do we get here? Not a great effect there. There we go. I think that's kind of what we're looking for. So what I'm doing is making sure that some of these windows are pulling through, and I'm trying to make sure that pillars line up so that it looks like it's one asset. There we go. That is really spectacular. So you'd be able to leave that building, be able to go to a cafe or something like that, and you'd be out here. So really a nice setup. And over here, we've got housing, we've got some commercial, really nice little station. It's, whoa, where did I go? Where did I go? Somehow I ended up way over here. That was real time. That was real time, friends. All right. So now we've got to do something with some of these empty areas that aren't super attractive. And what I think we're going to do, first of all, we need a road connecting up to here. So we're going to go through and grab, why don't we grab a 1U road without parking, bi-directional. And then we'll grab our nodes and just slide this over right up close to that. Very good. We can even slide this back a little ways. Very nice. And this will be a nice little park area. And look at this. We're upset about our land values. So we're going to have to do something about that as well. And I'm wondering, why don't we take a look? Let's look at our unique buildings. And I wonder, we've got some of these train station department stores. Maybe that actually is a more appropriate solution here. Let's see, we've got money now, so we can spend and see things. I don't love it. It's really, really big, and there really aren't any windows. It feels, I mean, that's EFIS panels, and they're kind of cheap in terms of materials, not super attractive. That said, if these buildings are all gonna die, not that we have any options. And the land values in this area will be high at some point, but right now is not that time. So this should provide an entryway in, so that's good. We still have our entryway. Got some Japanese text, but that's okay. And wow, that is right in the middle. That's way too deep. So this is our other option. Yeah, and the building styles just don't mesh well. So I think I'm going to take a minute, return to how it was, and we will just have to figure it out. All right, so we're more or less back. I did change one thing, and that's right here. I added a corner building to give this a little bit more of a corner presence, which I think is a pretty good aesthetic choice for this particular area. We are having some weird kind of like clipping here, so I'll just move that over and try to get that to be a little bit nicer. Sometimes you just got to pop these up or down a little bit, and that seemed to do the trick. All right, so now I want to focus my attention on the front a little bit because we've got some kind of ugly stuff going on here. Remember, this is a warehouse building. So I think we're going to look and see if there are any offices that we can add to the front of this, or even consider adding another one of these entryway buildings. Maybe that's the most appropriate. We'll just clone that. There we go. Give it a little bit more of a presence on this side. The problem is it's entering into a blank wall, so I don't know if there's much that we can do about that. Let me see if there's a door. There's no door. So we might just have to live with a little bit of imperfection there. And, you know, there's a few other things. Because this is reversible, you see the front on either side. So that's kind of one of those oddities that you'll have to deal with when you use a building like this. I think it looks pretty darn good, and I'm pleased. So now I want to decorate this a bit. We also probably should have pulled this road through now that I think of it. There we go, and there is a light popping up through there, so that's not ideal. I'm wondering if I use the parking lot roads and I upgrade it to that, if it will look a little bit better. And I wish that I had a road that wasn't a different color or a different height without the curb, because that's really one of the primary issues here. And I wonder, pavement road? Oh, that actually looks really good. Yeah, that looks really good. I don't know where I got this from, but that looks really good. So we're gonna go with that. All right, so one of the things I noticed about Node Controller is that we got an update that allows us to do whatever we want with our nodes. And I'm wondering, it's not gonna let me clean that up at all, which is unfortunate. But if you go into more options, you can get rid of collision and even go nodeless, which is really interesting. So when you go without collisions, so let's say you turn this on, so maybe not for all of them. Let's turn it on here. I can move this node now basically wherever I want. It doesn't care anymore. So it's a really interesting feature, not one that I think I'll use often. There we go, as I try to break everything here. Now, I want to figure out a fix for this. I don't know what it is. If you happen to know off the top of your head, please let me know if you have a solution. Certain networks, when they connect into others, break like this. And I'm certain that there's a fix. I'm going to come through here, and I'm wondering if I go in the green and I turn marking off. No, it doesn't do anything. I guess going nodeless makes it look a little better. And if I turn it off here and do whatever I want, yeah, I don't think that's any better at all. So we're just gonna let good enough be good enough and be happy. So with the rest of this area, what do we do? What do we do about all of this land value nonsense? Well, first of all, we clearly need to do something here with some of our park space. Raise up the land values over here. For the time being, we're gonna give them what everyone desires. And I think you know what that is. A dog park. So right across the street from a dog park, this is commercial. And I know that right now. We look at our zoning. Yeah, that's commercial. It's broken commercial though. And maybe with some of the changes that we've made, we just abandon this being commercial altogether and make this a park space. So I've had this beach asset too. That's another option. I'm trying to do my best to improve the land values, and really it seems like nothing is doing the trick. And truthfully, I don't think that this is the greatest spot for a beach anyway. I just kind of wanted to see what it was. Sometimes I've added so many assets that you just gotta come through and take a look to try to remember what you would have all added through here, because there's just a lot. So yeah, there's not a ton that I think is going to improve the land values in this area just yet. So hopefully this doesn't abandon. We're probably gonna have to do a few things to keep this going for some time, which is unfortunate, but the land values will eventually improve here. Let's clean up some of the pavement, add some landscaping. Okay, looking very, very, very clean now. But I think we could do better. I think we could have some outdoor seating and some different things of that nature. We're gonna get rid of this, and let's search for some planters. You know, I think I might have a solution for this wonky looking connection. So I picked up something that I have been waiting for the right moment to deploy. And it's these mixed pavement cobbles. But here's the interesting thing about these. They're actually a network asset, and I can run them right over the top. So I'm gonna add those right here, and then we're gonna relocate it to be exactly where I want it to be. Now, because it's a network, I can just pop it up and down. Now, the unfortunate thing is, you know, there's obviously a curve here now, a pretty significant one. And if I lower that, you start to see I lose my cobbles, but I think I'm picking the lesser of two evils here. And I am gonna go with this. Yeah, that to me, it's a little better. It's a little better. But I'd be curious, how do you guys feel about this as a solution? Do you have a better one? You think this just looks too hokey? I think that we could extend this pattern around. So that might make it feel a bit like there's a bit more continuity through here. There we go. I think that looks really nice. I like the aesthetic of this. If you pull it out a little ways, you get that same aesthetic on the curb. So we are going to do that over here and make sure it's lining up over here as well. Very nice. Very, very nice. So these are mixed pavement. It's a water structure and a network all in one, and it looks absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. So I'm going to decorate along here. We're going to add some more some planter boxes. Now with these, it's sometimes easier to just place it, grab it with move it, relocate it where you want, and then clone it within there. Okay, and now I want to add some beautiful Clearwater County flags to this building. Actually, let's add a few more planters. We need to have some trees in the street, and we have the ability to add that now. So we'll add in some of these street planters. What I'm going to do, when I'm hovering over, they're kind of disappearing. Hoping I can get this to stay. If it doesn't, we will try something else. It looks like it worked. So the nice thing about this is it makes it fairly easy to place. So we'll just go through, and I will actually, why don't we can use our prop line tool. So I will just see if I can undo this. Will not let me. And I'll never be able to pick that prop ever. Oh, I can. Oh, I got it. All right. So I will now try to place these planters. We'll start here. And obviously that's way too much. So I come through here. We'll increase the spacing. I'm going to say every 15 meters. Looks really good. And now I'm going to grab a street tree, and I'm going to place that over here so I can clone it down. We're going to go with just our young linden, my favorite, and easy plop it there, grab, move it, and then clone it. This will be a ton easier doing this than attempting to do it by placing these. See how easy this is. It rotates the tree around, gives it a more natural appearance. So I probably shouldn't place this here, but we're going to live with a little bit of imperfection, because I like the symmetry. That looks really good to me. So we're going to add a couple more over here as well. And we'll go slightly closer over here. The main reason for that is that I just want to make sure that we get it before we get to the other side of this. That building is far too close to the road to get any street trees, so we'll make do with what we have. Really good. It's looking really, really good. And now I want to get those Clearwater County flag, or Superior flags up, rather. For whatever reason, these wouldn't flatten against the wall, so I decided to just manually place it. So I placed it where I thought it should be, and then I can just pull this out a little ways. Although, truthfully, that looks pretty darn good. Lower this one down, see how that one looks. This one has to change. And I might just pop into here, into move it, use the picker and select just the flag. And now it should be easier to work with these. There we go. That is looking slick in my opinion. So we could have a couple of wall mounted flags as well if we wanted. Okay, well, maybe it's not my day for wall-mounted flags. It's not working all that well for me. As much as I want it to. We'll try it one more time. That's pretty good. We'll do the same thing over here. And I'm really focusing on this because this is the capital, and you would expect there to be a lot of Superior pride here. Oh, jeez. Well, that didn't work. Maybe we'll skip it on that one and call it a day. And I'm going to add another vertical flag here if I can. There we go. Just to really put a point of emphasis that this is Superior. This is what this area is all about. So feeling really good about that. What I'm not feeling so good about is that all of our buildings here have abandoned right here. This one is upset too. Is this land values? Oh, materials. It's not getting materials. So this one I think we can hopefully fix. We'll move that spawn point, put it in a place where they can actually load things up. This is a little more challenging. It abandoned because worker education was too low. So we've got to focus on that soon. This abandoned because the land value was too low. So I could try to fix these all I want. For the time being, we're just going to leave them abandoned and we'll get them working very, very soon. Let's clean up our tracks and get everything looking good over here. And we'll also touch up our surface painter, which is something that we are going to need to do now that we've completely removed it. Simple enough. There we go. So I'm really wondering what I can do to boost up these land values. And, I don't know that there's going to be a ton for the time being, short of just spamming parks and things of that nature, which I'm not super excited to do. One thing that could be beneficial is the second part of the build. I'm going to add in a couple of decorations. This is going to look as bad as it does. We might as well have some flowers next to that abandoned building. All right, so what we're going to do is this is going to be part of a greater transit hub generally. And this is going to be our first ferry stop. So I'm really excited to build this. Let's go through here. We're going to have a ferry pier. Pop this right here and remove that road. It's not helpful for us. We don't want that road. And I look at this as the state really deciding to take a serious look at this area and really make the investments that are necessary to make this a really attractive capital area. It's really taking pride in the whole state, in my opinion. So I'll use Control H and lower that down. Bring that right up. And you know, now that I'm thinking about it, we have the opportunity to add in the same sort of sidewalk across the street and carry that on through here. And we're absolutely going to do that. Okay, so now with our ferry terminal, I want to try my best to get the entryways lined up with one another. So I thought that maybe I could come in the middle of this building, and I can. Let's look. Yeah, and I can't figure out where I am, so that's not going to work all that well. We'll just need to eyeball it a little bit. It looks like this ferry is maybe just a little bit off. There we go. I'm going to extend this down just a little bit further on this end. It's looking really, really good. Why don't we take this whole deal and pull it forward? There we go. That is a special place now. That is a special place. So we obviously need a place for this to go and to terminate, and we're going to need to make another stop. So that stop is going to be in Ashland. So I'm really excited to get this going. This is something that has been mentioned in the comments on a number of occasions, and I have been waiting for the right time. But I think as all of these transportation investments are being made, you could certainly see many more being made at once. So we're going to pop this right here temporarily so that we can again come through here, unlock that road and remove it. And I noticed that we have the same thing over here. So why don't we just unlock this and remove it. We're going to grab this, and I want to have it in this general area. And there's a couple of abandoned buildings through here, and I'm really curious as to why everything's abandoning over here. I think we're going to need to take a look at that after we get the setup. Control H to the road, nice even height. And I think I want this to feel like it's a part of kind of this building landscape over here. So I'm going to move this building that's abandoned. The height of realism is moving that building over. And we are taking part in that. And since we're at the height of realism. Oh, look at that. Building back to life. Looking good. But we need to scoot these over just a little bit further. There we go. There we go. I just wanted this to line up nicely. So we still, like right now, it's actually a little bit too low. So I'm going to pop the key down just a little bit. And I just want that wooden area to show. Now, this looks pretty bad. And I think that we can hide this with some landscaping. We're going to run into something though, again. And that is if we come through here, and let's just say we want some of our new green bushes or some grasses, we can get some of these in, but that key wall is going to be a problem for us. So we are going to pop one in, select it, and then just use our duplicate in place. And now it's super easy to do whatever we want. And it does a really good job. Probably should have our anarchy on though as well. There we go. While I'm over here, I'm going to do a couple more things. Jazz up this area just a little bit. There we go. A little bit nicer. A little bit nicer. Now, I do want to see, why are these buildings abandoning? We'll take a look. Not enough workers. Not enough workers. Not enough workers. And no one to collect dead people. Okay, that one's a little different. We will need to do something about Not enough workers. Obviously, that's our residential demand. It's been through the roof, and it's still a problem for us. So we'll need to take care of that because it's really sad to see Ashland just kind of falling into disrepair. All right, so we have most of what we need. We've got our ferry terminals. What we need now is our main ferry depot. We are going to add that in our little industrial collection of buildings over here, over in Johnson Creek. And what I'm going to do is just move this around, see if we can lock on with our existing buildings. Control H, get the height to be right. And then again, unlock that road. Select this one and upgrade this. And make our connection, and we'll straighten this out. Looking good. Needs some water. Not a problem. We know where to put it. Underneath the road. Right where it belongs. There we go. Looking good. We can even add some landscaping in back here at this point. I don't think we're doing anything else back here. And this would seem to be as good of an option as anything for us. There we go. So now we need to draw our lines between our depot and our harbors. So I'm going to come way out here so we can get a flavor for what we're doing. And we could certainly add another one over in Old Van Buren, but for the time being, I think we're going to hold off on that. Now over here, this is a pretty straight shot, truthfully. Kind of just come over here and then loop right back in. And then we'll get this established right away. Click on this, create line, add a stop, and then complete line. So there we go. This is going to be exciting. This is the moment where we come over and we see the line of boats coming from here. And there they are. That's super predictable. That's what kind of boats do we have coming through here? Just normal ferries. And I think we can do better. So I picked up a special ferry asset for this build. So we're going to come through here. And I'm wondering, updated ferry or ferry? I don't know what that means. So let's see. We'll look at our vehicles. And we're going to look at ferries. So updated ferry is actually a vehicle ferry. And we're going to increase the passenger count. I'm going to say that 200 is pretty reasonable for this. So now we accept updated ferries over here. And that means that people are going to be able to use this for their cars or just walk onto it, which I think is really exciting. So let's see what these look like. Are these the old ones? Those are ferries. These are updated ferries. Look at that. Be able to drive right on or get on without your car. Either way. All right, so we'll speed this up. I'm curious, what are these going to do? Just loop all the way back around? That's not super efficient. I'm wondering if there's a way that I can make that better. So I guess they just need a node, just any node, and they can turn around. Just wholesale, no problem. We're not going to keep that. But that's very interesting to me. Just need a node. So there we go. And I'm curious, if we look at our new ferry depot, what are we looking at in terms of passengers? There's already people lining up here. We look at our lines overview. We've got 2 stops. We've got 65 people here waiting to get over to Van Buren. And over here in Van Buren, we've got another 45, 46, 7 waiting to get over to Ashland. So very, very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And you see that there's just a lot of activity here. We're going to need to do something about these buildings. They are struggling, and we've got to find a solution for this. I don't know if I'm going to find that right now. It's really struggling with getting its raw material. So interesting. This was in the wrong spot. So we will turn this around, pull this over, and spin this one around. There we go. So this now should work. But I'm going to let this go for just a moment and see if it actually does. And there we go. And that resolved all the issues. All he had to do is play with Bob a little bit. And holy cow, look at all of this passenger activity that we're seeing here. This is what I wanted to see. Hundreds of people here in Ashland wanting to get over to Van Buren. Hundreds of people wanting to get from Van Buren to Ashland. This is beautiful. That is exactly what I was hoping to see. Getting off the train and going. So, man, we're gonna have to deal with that land value issue in the next one, but I'm feeling like we're making some progress. Traffic seems to have resolved itself over here. That was certainly a concern. I was wondering if the new node controller would help us with this, but we don't even need it. We're totally fine. Things are improved with fewer trains using these tracks. So with that, I do think that we are going to need to zoom in here and have a brief ferry tour. And I thought it'd be nice to take a look at our new train station with, train and ferry station at night to see what this looks like. And it is an absolutely gorgeous building. Obviously, not quite as attractive here. And we may even want to put some more lights in here. It's a little bit dim in my estimation, but for the time being, it's fine. And I'm really liking the way that this looks. It feels like a really, really nice place to be and a place that you'd want to visit. Now, one thing I don't understand is that I apparently lost the trees that I placed in here, which is very strange because I haven't reloaded or anything. They just disappeared. So I am going to place those back in here. We'll switch this back to day and I will add in my lindens again. And that makes me wonder if I lost some trees in the previous from the previous area in Ashland as well. Okay, so the only thing that I could figure here is that I must have jiggled something without anarchy on and everything disappeared. So if we pop back over to Ashland and we take a look, I don't think that we suffered the same fate. Nope, everything is there, everything's looking good. And wow, things are just packed over here. Things are really hopping. So I think that it must have been a situation where maybe I jiggled one of these road networks or one of these network sidewalk overlay things, and that ended up causing all of my trees to disappear. Landscaping too. So I guess maybe that's a good reminder to myself to only work on that at the very end of a particular build. But with this, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. This was a lot of fun for me, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. If you like this, please hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.